Welcome to my channel. If you've ever dug into the change rattling at the bottom of your drawer, chances are you've come across a dime, a Roosevelt dime to be exact. Small, silver-colored, often overlooked, and usually passed on without much thought. But what if I told you that one of these tiny coins, minted in 1971 with a small D just beside the date, could be worth far more than just 10 cents? In fact, in certain cases, it could fetch as much as $141. Yes, you heard that right. One dime, one small piece of change, could be worth over 100 times its face value. But before we get to that jaw-dropping number, let's take a journey back through history, through metal and minting, through war and remembrance, and into the world of numismatics, the love of coins. The story of the Roosevelt dime begins long before 1971. It was a fitting tribute. John R. Sinek, the chief engraver of the United States Mint at the time, was tasked with designing the new coin. His design was simple yet powerful: a profile of Roosevelt on the obverse, facing left, and on the reverse, a torch symbolizing liberty flanked by an olive branch for peace and an oak branch for strength and independence. The Roosevelt dime was born and officially entered circulation in 1946. Fast forward 25 years to 1971. America was a different place. The Vietnam War was raging, civil rights movements were reshaping society, and the economy was seeing its share of turbulence. But amid all this change, the Roosevelt dime remained a constant, a quiet witness in millions of pockets, purses, and piggy banks. The 1971 dime is particularly interesting for a few reasons. Firstly, it was minted in large numbers, over 300 million of them, with the vast majority coming from the Denver Mint. That's where the little D mint mark comes in. They're made of a copper-nickel clad composition, no silver here, and they weigh just 2.27 grams. They're 17.91 millimeters in diameter, and they've been jingling through commerce for decades. But once in a while, collectors and coin dealers stumble upon a specimen that breaks the mold. Literally, some 1971 D dimes are known for having mint errors. These include off-center strikes, broad strikes, or even double dies. Errors like these can dramatically increase the value of a coin. Why? Because they're rare. Think of it like a misprint on a postage stamp or a rare baseball card with an error. Flaws make them unique and sought after. Now, let's zoom in on one particular 1971 D Roosevelt dime that made waves in the numismatic community. Graded as MS-68, an extraordinarily high grade for a coin of this type, this dime was sold at auction for $141. That's 1,410 times its face value. The coin was praised for its near-perfect strike, immaculate fields, and razor-sharp detail. It's the same psychology that drives collectors of comic books, sports cards, or rare stamps. Let's also consider the appeal of the Roosevelt dime series itself. While it might not have the romantic allure of earlier coin designs like the Mercury dime or the Barber series, the Roosevelt dime has its own quiet charm. It represents a modern America. It speaks of post-war optimism, scientific progress, and enduring presidential legacy. And for many collectors, it's a relatively affordable series to complete, making the rare high-grade examples all the more important. Another interesting twist in the story is the fact that many 1971 D dimes were struck with worn dies, resulting in weak details, especially around the torch and flame on the reverse. So when a coin surfaces with full bands, crisp, distinct horizontal lines on the torch, that's a big deal. Full bands are a marker of a strong strike and elevate the coin's desirability significantly. In fact, the $141 example we're talking about was one of the few that exhibited this full band detail in near-perfect condition. Plus, even if you don't find a gem worth $141, you're likely to stumble across other interesting coins, different dates, odd errors, or maybe even a silver dime from before 1965 that's worth a few bucks just in melt value. The world of coins is filled with stories, surprises, and, yes, sometimes even small fortunes hiding in plain sight. In many ways, the 1971 D Roosevelt dime is a symbol of American resilience. Struck during a decade marked by political upheaval and cultural revolution, it's a quiet witness to the stories of millions. It may be small, just under 18 millimeters, but its legacy, and its value, are anything but. So next time you hold a dime in your hand, look closer. Check the date. Look for the mint mark. Feel the weight of history and possibility. You never know, what seems like spare change might just be something extraordinary. And now, the big reveal you've been waiting for. One of the finest known examples of the 1971 D. Roosevelt dime, graded MS-68 with full bands, sold for $141 at a major auction. A modest coin, not made of silver or gold, but worth far more than its humble face value. All because of its condition, its rarity, and its place in a series that continues to captivate collectors. That's the magic of numismatics. It's not just about the money, it's about the stories, the history, the hunt, and the joy of finding value where others see none. So keep your eyes open, your mind curious, and your change jar close. You never know what treasures you might find. In a world filled with forgotten coins and jingling pocket change, few people stop to think about the stories etched into the surfaces of everyday currency. But every now and then, a humble coin quietly defies expectations. It may pass from hand to hand for years, unrecognized, underestimated, and undervalued, until suddenly, collectors and historians alike turn their gaze upon it, unlocking a hidden story. Today, we're diving into the tale of one such unassuming yet remarkable coin, the 2001 Roosevelt dime with the P mint mark. Now, at first glance, there's nothing particularly unique about this tiny 10-cent piece. It's small, silver-colored, and for most people, just part of the daily shuffle of coins and cash. Maybe it was dropped in a vending machine slot, lost between couch cushions, or handed over without a second thought as part of exact change. But sometimes, what seems ordinary hides something extraordinary. Let's take a journey back to the origins of this dime, not just the year 2001, but even further, to understand why this particular coin, minted in Philadelphia, would one day command a price tag far beyond its face value. After his passing in 1945, the U.S. government looked for a fitting tribute, and the answer came in the form of the dime. Fast forward to 2001. America was at the edge of monumental change. The country was in the midst of rapid technological advancement, riding the highs and lows of the early 2000s economy, and unknowingly on the cusp of one of the most defining moments in modern history, September 11th. In this turbulent and transformative year, the U.S. Mint continued its routine operations, producing billions of coins across its facilities. Among these coins was the Roosevelt dime, struck in large quantities at the Philadelphia Mint, identifiable by the P mint mark just above the date. The Philadelphia Mint is the oldest and one of the most prolific coin-producing facilities in the world. Known for its efficiency and precision, it typically cranks out coins in the billions. And in 2001, it produced approximately 1.13 billion Roosevelt dimes. That's right, billion, with a B. So, naturally, you might wonder, how does a coin from a mintage that massive manage to stand out? How can something so common become so valuable? Here's where things get interesting. Point 1 of the key factors driving up the value of certain 2001 P. Roosevelt dimes is condition. Collectors use a grading scale to evaluate a coin's physical state, and this scale can make or break its value. A coin that's fresh from the mint and untouched by circulation might be graded as MS-65 or higher, MS standing for mint state. These coins are crisp, clean, and flawless to the naked eye. And when it comes to coins, condition is everything, and yes, there are 2001 P. Roosevelt dimes that show such traits. While no massive publicized error for the 2001 P has gone viral, sharp-eyed collectors continue to uncover subtle anomalies. It might be a slight doubling on the lettering, a die crack, or even a weak strike on the mint mark itself. These errors, often too minor to notice at a glance, can spark bidding wars among die-hard collectors. Recently, a 2001 P. Roosevelt dime in pristine MS-68 condition was sold for a whopping $133. That's right, $133 for a coin you might have passed over without a second glance. A dime worth more than 1,300 times its face value, not because of some flashy design or historical quirk, but because it was in such astonishing condition, a perfect snapshot of minting precision and preservation, and let's be honest, there's something magical about that. In a world where we're often told value comes from rarity, extravagance, or age, the story of the 2001 Roosevelt dime is refreshingly different. It tells us that even among the billions, something small and seemingly insignificant can rise in worth. That a piece of change, something most people ignore, can turn into a cherished collectible, simply by being extraordinary in an ordinary world. The world of coin collecting is full of surprises, and it rewards those who look closer, dig deeper, and appreciate the value in what others overlook. That's the beauty of numismatics. Every coin is a time capsule, a piece of history, and sometimes, a hidden treasure. And if this story has inspired you to start searching, to take a second look at the coins in your change jar, then mission accomplished. Because the next great coin discovery might not come from an auction house or a collector's vault. It might come from your wallet. So keep your eyes open. Stay curious. And remember, even the smallest coin can tell the biggest story. Thanks for joining me on this journey through the history and hidden value of the 2001 Roosevelt dime with the Philadelphia Mint mark. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with fellow treasure hunters. And if you've got a cool coin story of your own, drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear it. Until next time, happy collecting. And who knows? Maybe your next dime is worth more than just 10 cents. Maybe, just maybe, it's worth $133.